A prayer for help in despair. Psalm 88. O Yahweh, God of my salvation, I cry out by day and through the night before you. Let my prayer come before you. Incline your ear to my cry. For my soul is full with troubles, and my life approaches Sheol. I am reckoned with those descending to the pit. I am like a man without strength set free among the dead, like the slain lying in the grave, whom you no longer remember, even those cut off from your hand. You have set me in the pit below, in the dark places, in the depths. Your wrath presses upon me, and you afflict me with all your waves. You have removed my acquaintances far from me. You have made me detestable to them. I am confined and cannot go out. My eye languishes for misery. I call on you, O Yahweh, every day. I spread out my hands to you. Do you work wonders for the dead? Or do the departed spirits rise up to praise you? Is your loyal love told in the grave, or your faithfulness in the underworld? Are your wonders known in the darkness, or your righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? But as for me, I cry for help to you, O Yahweh. And in the morning my prayer comes before you. Why do you reject my soul, O Yahweh? Why do you hide your face from me? I am afflicted and perishing from my youth. I bear your terrors, I am distraught. Your burning anger has passed over me. Your sudden fears have destroyed me. They surround me like water all the day. They circle about me altogether. You have removed loved one and friend far from me, my acquaintances far from my darkness. Hi everyone. I know it's been a while. In case you're new, my name's Angel Escalera, and I'm one half of the Brash Bereans. This is going to be a hard video for me to make, but I've been wanting to make it for a while now. To cut right to the chase, February and March of 2025 was probably the lowest point in my life. I had experienced loss, I was suicidal, I was depressed, and it was really hard for me to get back up. It all started January. We were moving from our previous apartment, and we were going to temporarily be moving into my in-laws' house. Long story short, there's an apartment that someone at our church was going to be having open in May, and we were really hoping to get that place. So our lease ended in February, so we decided, hey, between February and May, we could live with the in-laws and maybe save some money, and then once May comes around, it could be a smooth transition in. At the end of January, I was already feeling a little burnt out, and the whole JP back and forth, whatever you want to call it, it took a little bit more out of me than I initially expected. And I kind of just wanted to take a bit of a break. And I thought, well, we're moving, so, we got to take a bit of a break anyway. But it was a little bit deeper than that. The move happens, and we move our stuff into storage, and within a day of moving our stuff into storage, the storage unit floods, and I lose some furniture. Luckily, no real valuables were completely damaged, but it was very hectic. Everything was like filled with water because there was like this ginormous storm. And while that was all happening, I was kind of fighting with the landlord because there was some floor damage that was caused by his refrigerator, his super old refrigerator, that I reported to him, and I had text messages and everything. I reported to him back in 2022. He sent his maintenance guy to come look at it, and the maintenance guy confirmed it wasn't my fault. It was something with the drain or whatever in the refrigerator that was causing it to leak. And I had reported it to the landlord time and time again, and he even came into the apartment over the years to do inspections, and he's seen the floor damage, but he chose to do nothing about it. And when we decided to move, he tried to pin the floor damage on us, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get my security deposit back and whatnot, and it was just a mess. So having to deal with that, and then our storage unit flooding, and having to get another storage unit in the midst of moving already, it was just very hectic, and we were sick while we were trying to move as well. It was just bad. And while this is all happening, we start getting situated at her parents' house, and there's a fight that breaks out right when it's our first night there with her family, and it caused a lot of tension in the house for quite a while. So all this was basically piling up, and I was starting to kind of spiral a bit. My mental health was like deteriorating rather fast, and I initially tried just doing the Christian thing, just praying about it, trying to stay strong, but things just progressively kept getting worse. There was during this time, there was a couple close friends that I considered family and whatnot, and while we were kind of struggling, we ironically put a lot of time and effort into these people. When they were down, we were always checking up on them, inviting them over for dinner, trying to make sure that they were good. But for some reason, when we were going through it, they couldn't even send us a text message to check up on us. And my biggest thing is fellowship and friendship. I value people a lot, and I care about people deeply. That's kind of why I wanted to start doing YouTube in the first place, just to try to help in some small aspect. But none of them really reached out. Some people did, but a lot of them didn't. And I kind of felt alone. During this time in the wrestling world, for me, I started having some turmoil with some friends in that aspect. And it was kind of both happening at the same exact time. And I just really felt like I had no one. And this is something I struggled with ever since high school. I never really fit in. I've always been very opinionated, brash, so to say. I care about people deeply, and I always try to make time for friends. I always try to be there for people, but for some reason, it rarely ever gets reciprocated back to me. Kind of lost a lot of people along the way. People that I thought I was always going to do life with. And it kind of sucked that it was just kind of happening again. It's a very hard feeling that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. But while this is all happening in February, I found out that someone that I looked up to in the wrestling industry at one point, someone who welcomed me in with open arms when I first hit the indie scene, he was a vet in the Chicagoland area and in the scene. I found out that that he passed away in a motorcycle accident, and he was someone that I really looked up to, that I loved talking to, and just like that, he was gone. And while that's happening, my aunt Heidi is battling with organ failure, and 5 days after Mike died, I had lost my aunt. And this is all happening in February. I had completely froze. I I had completely neglected all things healthy. I just didn't have the energy anymore. I was spiraling really bad. There were times when I would just lock myself in my room and I would just sit on the bed and I wouldn't be listening to music, I wouldn't be watching TV, nothing. I was just sitting on the bed for hour and a half, 2 hours, just spiraling mentally, just sulking, feeling like utter garbage. And I was suicidal. While this was all happening, I ironically received my gun license and I bought a gun. And I kind of knew how bad I was in this moment. So I had to make sure that I didn't bring any ammunition home. Because if I brought any ammo home, I was worried that I might end up using it on myself. Because I'd lost the will to live, to try. And I know that's not like the generic Christian church thing that you hear. You know, there's a group of people that would suggest one would need some type of exorcism or deliverance of some sort. But that's not true. It was just life. It was just life. I isolated myself pretty badly. I was barely going to church because I didn't have the energy to. I didn't have the will to. I wanted to be alone. I was scared to hurt Cece, so I pushed her away because I didn't want to hurt her with anything that I was going through. But I ended up hurting her by neglecting her and not letting her in when I probably should have. I was a mess. I forgot how to pray. As silly as that may sound. Picking up the word, I felt ashamed. I didn't feel worthy. I just wanted it all to end. But there was one day specifically, on a Sunday, I had woken up and I decided to just go to church just because it had been like a couple weeks at that point, and I just kind of felt the urge to. So I got dressed. I was already super late as it was, but I showed up anyway. And it was like the last 10 to 15 minutes maybe of the sermon. I walked in and we had a guest speaker, and he was sharing a story about how he lost his brother-in-law. And his brother-in-law passed away, self-inflicted, so to say. And the sermon was about how Jesus carries our scars, and that by his wounds we are healed. Now, many people confuse this passage for physical healing being guaranteed, but this passage is a reminder, and was a reminder to me at the time, that no matter how dark life gets, no matter how sad and depressed I am, there still is a Savior who everything that could be done bad to me was done to him. Every worst case scenario, event that could happen to me, he took up on that cross already. And it was just almost a reminder, because you don't really hear about mental health much in church nowadays. But it was just a reminder that God is still with me. Even in the highs and the lows, he's still always there. And I went home, I pondered on it, and towards the end of March, that's when I started to really fight back against myself and try to start getting back up again. I had to learn how to actually take every thought captive, as we're instructed to, and not spiral down or go down any rabbit holes, but take my thoughts captive truly and understand what was real versus what was fantasy. I had to practice self-control very heavily during this time, and not allow myself to just wallow and sulk, even though that was like the easiest thing to do. One of my first steps was letting Cece in and telling her what was going on with me, and she was such a strong support and wasn't mad or angry at me. She understood. She's gone through her own stuff herself. But it was a really rough time, and to be met with grace really helped me a lot. I slowly got back in to reading my word. I started trying to pray again, trying to attend church more consistently again, and get my relationship with God back on track. And it took a little while, but taking things day by day, learning how to truly take every thought captive, learning self-control, learning the, boundaries I had to set for myself in order for me to be at peace, and just keep busy. In my weakness, God was truly made strong, because I couldn't do it without His strength and guidance. And even though I came to church super late, I heard what I needed to hear that day. And that was just a small way that God reminded me that He's still there. And that it's not over yet. It doesn't have to be. Oftentimes we hear that all these very fluffy messages, oh, if you give and sow a seed, God will give back to you double or triple or whatever. He's going to bless you tenfold. You hear that Christianity is this cakewalk, that everything's going to be perfect now, everything's going to fall into place. But it's not. It's a hard walk. I wish I could say that when I gave my life to Christ, when giving your life to Christ, it's all going to be better 100% of the time. Yes and no. Life will still happen. You still will face challenges. But the difference now is you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to feel hopeless. You don't have to feel stuck. You could have trust and faith knowing that all this will pass. All this will pass one day. And just as the guest speaker at my church said, these scars that we have, they will be healed. The scars that Christ bore on the cross in His hands and His feet, those are also our scars that He took upon Himself. We don't have to live hopelessly, but we could live instead with hope. Hope in the resurrection, hope in His return, hope in the fact that no matter what we're going through, Christ went through it as well. These feelings of pain, anxiety, stress, being overwhelmed, He went through it as well. So I challenge you today, if you're going through what I went through, press in. Try your best. And seek our Comforter. And just know that you're not alone. It doesn't make you a bad Christian. It doesn't make you a bad person when you're feeling suicidal, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling anxious. It doesn't make you less than. But it does make you human. And because it makes you human, that's just all the more reason why we need a Savior. And luckily we do. So I encourage you today, no matter how hard it is, because it was very hard for me, fight and find your peace in Him who healed us all of our scars. Love you guys. God bless.